Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the organizing team to allow us to give a presentation here today. And I'd like to say that we are even more pleased to be with you today because we are indeed one of the retained pilots. So I will also share my thanks to Michele and all your peers in the different DGs of the Commission for having chosen our product category to be one of the pilots for this exercise. So who is the A.I.S.E? First, I will present a bit who we are and where we come from and go a bit more in the details of what is it that we propose for this pilot. So A.I.S.E is really the industry association representing the whole detergents maintenance product industry in Europe. So we've been established already for 60 years, so quite a long industry association with a lot of history and background. We have memberships in 39 countries, more than 900 companies in the total membership, so a pretty broad representation of the sector, covering both the household goods but also the professional cleaning sector. So there are two key pillars of activities that we have at A.I.S.E, a traditional one for any industry association based in Brussels, which is very much looking at what's going out in the regulatory field. In our case, it's a lot of regulation on chemicals, for example, which being a downstream users of chemicals industry is impacting us a lot already. But a very strong specificity of A.I.S.E over the last 16 years is also to look proactively at what is it that we can do as a sector to really drive progress, especially on the environment and the sustainability field. And all this is really steering the sustainability strategy and the sustainability progress through the sector by creating a very strong basis for all the industry-led activities, allowing as well, of course, companies to do their own individual activities at corporate level or even at brand level. So really, over the last 16 years, a very strong history of proactive work on that field. And because I don't have such a long time to talk to you about all is it that what we've done, I will propose to zoom on the Charter for Sustainable Cleaning, which is really our most encompassing scheme, with which we will actually come with this expertise as well as the other schemes that we have put in place when we will be discussing with the different stakeholders the pilot. So very summarized, again, there is lots of detail online and through the sustainability reports, but the Charter for Sustainable Cleaning has been developed already in 2005. It comprises a number of requirements that any company involved in our sector is invited to comply to. It's a voluntary scheme, but basically there are a number of charter sustainability procedures, all inspired from A.I.S.E or ISO 14000 type of schemes, but tailored for the detergent industry, that need to be in place all along the life cycle of the sector. And once these are in place, then a certification body comes to verify that this is really the case for minimum 75% of the production. So this is step one, to be in the charter. And then once you are on board, you have to report annually against key performance indicators. And we have already done 6 reports like this one on an annual basis, and it's a continual improvement. So in addition to this kind of ISO, A.I.S.E plus reporting aspects linked to the charter, there are also, for each product categories, some advanced sustainability procedures which have been developed, which are like product category rules. So on a given product category, what are the main environmental hotspots and how to drive progress by setting specific threshold and criteria to be met in order to be able to comply fully with the charter. Last but not least, a lot of the impact of our products occurs during the use phase. So the charter also requires all the members to give a number of tips or participate in consumer engagement campaign to influence the use phase, washing at low temperature, filling the machine, etc., for example. So on most of the levels, you will see that there is independent verification, either at the start of the scheme or at random or every 3 years, according to the different aspects. And the top two requirements are mandatory for any charter company to comply with. The application of the product category rules at the moment is done on a voluntary basis. And as I said, it is available for 7 specific product groups. So as at today, we have 206 companies committed to the scheme. A good mix of those are manufacturers, of course, but also private label retailers. And with all that, we actually cover more than 90% of the market in Europe involved in the Charter for Sustainable Cleaning. Just briefly on reporting, I mentioned that there are 11 key performance indicators against which we report on an annual basis. There is this interesting graph which shows that actually, whilst the production has been increasing, there was some decoupling with regard to CO2 emission and energy index. So this kind of tracking of all the industry progress on a number of KPIs shows that while sustainability is being implemented, there are some good decoupling activities happening. If now I zoom a bit more on the product dimension, which is really the one which is more fully in scope of the PEF, how do we work for that? We start from the life cycle analysis, so when we decide to work on a specific product category, we gather the LCA data or outsource those to consultants if some of the material is not yet available among our companies. And deriving from that, we define, so per product category, this advanced sustainability profile, which essentially look at optimal use of resources. In our case, for example, promotion of compaction products, use of recycled material. There is also, and Michele alluded to that earlier this morning, a requirement regarding the safety of ingredient, ecotoxicity, for which we have built a specific tool called the environmental safety check. The fact to have tailored advice for consumers on how to use the product sustainably is very much there. And the concept of continual improvement, it has already been mentioned this morning. So once these criteria are established, they are then rolled out for implementation. And over a certain period of time, we also revise them to make them more stringent according to innovation processes. For example, on laundry detergent powders, we have already done the first update of those criteria. So all this is really aimed at being innovation-friendly for our companies to be able to implement, but relevant and pertinent, focusing on the most environmental criteria. As I said, they are already in place for 7 product categories, and it is really over to each company to implement them according to their system and report about them, because once a company and a specific brand meets the requested criteria, then we allow the companies to use this specific logo and as well as the consumer advice, which you see here on the panel. So these are the steps, and I guess very much in the spirit of what the PEF pilot will ask us to do. So for us, going to the PEF with this background will also be an opportunity for us to validate or get further input from stakeholders as to the approach that we have been having over the last years and that we continue to develop for even more product groups. Just to show you with regard to this specific product dimension, this was launched in 2010, and you see here on the graph that in 1 year from 2011 to 2012, there has been a big increase, more than 300% of penetration of this, what we call the A.S.P logo. So there is almost 700 million units of charter products sold in 2012, meeting those criteria. So a good penetration already of this advanced scheme in the sector in Europe. So when we have been seeing the initiative from the Commission in May 2013 for the single market for green products, this obviously came as part of a long tradition and long dialogue that we have had with DG Environment and the other colleagues in the Commission. we saw that as a very interesting opportunity for us, as I said, to benchmark the work that we had done. We will definitely contribute also, I mean, this scheme that we have is already subject to verification, but we will look at that phase as well. We have already an opportunity or a mean to communicate to consumers through the charter logo. I'm sure there will be a lot of discussion when we'll come to that phase on the different possible opportunities. But we definitely saw the opportunity for us to apply also because the Commission was open to evaluate such approaches. So in the course of July, in time for the 24th of July deadline, we have applied for liquid laundry detergents. It is not excluded that we may, in a parallel group, work on trigger spray cleaners as well. And we have applied, because the deadline was pretty short, we have applied with a consortium of A.I.S.E members, as well as 2 national associations, A.I.S.E for France and DETIC for Belgium, and 6 companies who have duly filled in their their agreement to comply with us, because we put the priority for the 24th of July deadline in securing that our technical secretariat would be robust enough with companies who would actually do the job, benchmarking the PCRs on their products, and really work with us and deliver on this project. I will just mention that in the case of Henkel, this company has already been actually in the first pilot to draft the umbrella methodology with automatic dishwashing detergents, I think. And the other interesting experience is the one from A.I.S.E, which has already, our French association, which has already been piloting the French experimentation on environmental information with precisely liquid detergent. So a lot of the learnings from this French pilot and the tools that we have been developing in the context of the French pilot are also going to be put on the table of available expertise and insights for us to conduct the EU pilot this time. So this is for what concerns the core of the technical secretariat. Of course, we've already been contacted by interested stakeholders like the Barcode organization, GS1, Thema A.I.S.E, the Sustainability Consortium. We are in dialogue with Ian Murray and the colleagues, the Swiss government, the Enzyme Industry Association, the surfactants, so 2 suppliers. So at the moment we are busy looking, I mean the news is very fresh that we are in, so very, very good to be on board. And now we are really looking at the organization as to how to further consolidate our technical secretariat, what governance models do we have, interaction within the technical secretariat or as part of the broader stakeholder group. All this is really subject to internal brainstorming and discussion. When we benchmark what the criteria for the EU PEF pilot are versus what we think our charter can bring, obviously on transparency, the fact that we are adopting a life cycle thinking approach are definitely matching. The fact that criteria are available and accessible, well, we come with this industry sector-wide scheme, which is accessible to any player in the sector and available online as well through the Charter website. Reliability, well, we have different levels of certification, external verification. Completeness, well, on the sustainability journey, we can always further enrich and complete it. So we are actually looking at maybe other components to further complete the charter, like CSR or other aspects, but already a number of relevant KPIs are in the pipeline. Comparability. So at the moment, it's true that the way we have developed the system is that either the product which applies to this scheme complies with all the criteria, and then it is more a kind of pass-fail. That's the approach which we have taken. It will be interesting again to see whether and what insights we have and how consumers react to possible alternatives. But we believe that through an aggregated logo of a system, which means for consumers that a product sold in the market meets a certain number of product-specific criteria, and in addition, it comes from a company which meets all the industry sustainability criteria and which reports against that, is powerful. So that's my last chart. So as I said, we are busy now looking at all the organization governance. We will be that little green box as part of the whole PEF jigsaw, and looking very much forward to the journey, and happy to have your questions.